Hypothetically.
Yes.
What does a big cow look like in cash?
I can assure you, that was a big cow. I ought to regret if I don't. You know, you're trying to sack commissioners.
Yes.
And all of them, how much they make? I know in the last election, somebody was supposed to receive 300 million as a bribe to just see that things go the right way.
Somebody was supposed to receive
300 million. And a lot of money is involved. So in that case, when you try to also partake of it, you know that you tell them, you guys, for me to do this, I want to be liberated from poverty for the next 50 years.
Wadau, as per the rule, when we stumble on good vibes, we don't waste time. We have to make sure we bring the conversation to you. And our conversation Leo is one of those. Our guest for this episode is a gentleman you have seen in other platforms, and I'm glad we were able to make this possible. I believe he fits the description of a walking library of Kenyan politics. But Leo, he is our guest because of a very interesting theme, the relationship with money. Now, he somehow ties to money in Kenyan politics. He is a familiar name. Kama unapenda politics, and this, aliniambia disclaimer, he's not an economic expert, but as a fan of economic ideas, I'd like to qualify how much the theme of this conversation carries depth and why he's the best guest for this conversation. Guest wetu leo ni Wafula Buke, a former chairman wa University Leadership at UON, na a former detainee wa Nyayo House. Na vile nimesema, he's a walking library of information as far as Kenyan politics is concerned. Before we get into it, Wadau, a quick word from our partners, one of our partners who make it possible to bring these programs. Security should never be a cause for panic in whichever part of the country that you live in. Alafu, being safe should also not be expensive. Now, hiyo pia does not mean that you compromise in quality, especially when dealing with security personnel. And that's why I want to talk to you about K9 Alligators, a security company that recruits exclusively from the NYS. And on top of the paramilitary training that the officers get from the National Youth Service, K9 Alligators tops that up with additional training with some of the world's finest security personnel, some of whom have trained with some of the top creme de la creme special forces units in different parts of the world. And that's not all. With K9 Alligators, you don't just get a security officer. You get a professional trained with high-level security training and vocational skills. That is, you get a security officer who also is a certified plumber. You get a security officer who is also a certified electrician. And the good news is you can also make custom requests. K9 Alligators is registered with PSRA and also offers a wide range of security services, including VIP, close protection services, security dogs on need basis, as in uko na boma na hauhitaji hustle ya kukuwa na umbwa mchana, ama unaogopa madogi kama mimi, you can have lethal, highly trained security dogs deployed to your home with a handler, overnight or on need basis, and all this you will get at very competitive rates. Please get in touch with the numbers on your screen or click the link in the description below. Now that you feel safe already, si tunaweza endelea na conversation. Very nice. Mr. Wafula Buke, karibu sana.
Thank you.
Karibu sana, and thank you for making time for us.
Yeah.
It's very karibu. So it's very interesting that the hook for this conversation starts with my friend Otieno Mukaya mentioning that have you ever brought Wafula Buke on your show? Do you know Wafula Buke? He's mentioned adversely in books, sana Miguna's books, because and in my opinion, I've always held that he holds you in high regard because Wafula Buke features very, very prominently in his books. So my friend Otieno Mukaya says that if Wafula Buke was flexible with his morals, he would be one of the richest Kenyans. And that statement carries weight because not long after that, I watched you on a podcast with Professor Manyora, and you narrate two things. One, someone sends you money and you return it back. That's a rare thing in Kenyan. Okay? In fact, if you send someone money
By mistake.
By mistake, and they return it. You have to go and announce it on social media, talking about, hey, good people still exist.
Yeah.
So your story is very rich, but I'm very, very interested in this particular thing.
Yeah.
There's so much money in Kenyan politics. And the first batch of money that we hear of is the YK92 era, where youthful Kenyans had access to money. And I believe that's where Jirongo comes in.
Yes.
Where are you in Kenyan politics around this time?
That is in 1992.
Yes.
1992, I had come from Uganda. I'd served a prison sentence, finished, and when I came out, I engaged in anti-government activities, or did preparations for an armed approach to resolving our problems in Kenya. So when I went to Uganda, stayed there, did whatever I did, then I came back. In 1992, I had just come back from Uganda, and I was trying to fit in an environment of multipartyism, a system I didn't leave when I went there. Yeah.
Fitting into multipartyism.
In a multi-party setup in Kenya.
Yes.
Because at the time when I went to Uganda, we were one-party system.
Yes.
When I was in prison, it was one party. So in 1992, I come back and find that there's Ford, there's contest for, between Ford and then the split, Ford Asili and Ford Kenya, then the emergence of the DP and other smaller protest parties. Basically, that's what I find when I came back to Kenya. At the time, we didn't think that it was important to even get involved in elections because we didn't have hopes for a free and fair election. So I didn't even have a voter's card.
Yes.
Instead of rushing to take a voter's card and maybe stand, I thought the more important thing was for me to go through the military training I was going through, just in case Moi remained what he had been for all those years. Then we also hold dialogue with him in the language that he spoke to us, which was violence.
You went through military training?
Yes, I'm a trained guerrilla, actually a trained trainer. I can set a bomb. I can detonate a landmine. Yeah. The last time we did, I did an exercise of dismantling and reassembling an AK-47. I think I was taking 31 seconds. I was not the best. The best was 24 seconds. But he was killed when he came back by the state. I'm saying that I am also privileged to have this education that is so important for Africa, yet monopolized by those in power.
So I can't just let that slide. So you say it very politely, and there's so much there. I went to Uganda, did what I did.
Yeah.
And then our people may also not forgive me for leaving this out.
Yeah.
One, you were imprisoned.
Yes.
Please allow us to go into that for a bit. Why are you imprisoned? And when you go to Uganda, is it for this is your way of now staying dangerous because of the situation back in the country?
Yeah, the prison story is a tired story because we've talked about it. Kenyans have talked
Just
about
a highlight,
it.
yes.
So, but when I was elected as SONU chair, we lasted, because it was a team, we lasted 9 days in office. And the state realized we were not good enough. They claimed I was a spy for Libya, but that was not true because I'm 62 years right now, and I've not seen a Libyan pass except Gaddafi on TV. Yet in that story, they gave me money, we met in Serena, moved around, those kind of stories. So I went to prison for those years, came out. And when you were out there in prison, we used to have a lot of discussions with people like Mandero Muganga, Oduoro Mwen, we had many of those rebels that were like now, Kamonye Manje, Professor.
Oduoro in prison in Kenya?
Yes, in Kenya, yes.
Oduoro Mwen is Ugandan?
No, he's a Kenyan, but I'm saying you were in prison together. So we used to discuss politics and plan how we disengage. I was in Mwadero Muganga.
Yes.
So when we got out, those who left, we told, please go, do the preparations, we're coming. And when we come, feed us. So I told, we agreed with Mwadero Muganga that when he goes out, he has to get out of the country, send me a letter addressed to my mother. So that when I also complete my sentence, I come out, pick the letter, and receive instructions. Yeah, so when I came, my mother gave me the letter addressed to her, but the inner envelope was addressed to me.
Yes.
Yeah, so I got instructions. We needed to start doing the groundwork for an armed struggle. It took the form of creating cells and political training and that kind of thing. So that's how I engaged the system, and information leaks, to cut the story short, and I'm forced to run away to Uganda. And you know, in exile, we have two types of people who go to exile. We have those who go there to get an opportunity to continue doing what they were doing back at home.
Yes.
Then you have those who go there feeling terrible that they have left the theater of struggle. So I belong to this category of people who thought the struggle needed to continue by any means necessary, and in a place as close as possible to our country, if not the country itself. So when I went to Uganda, you are subjected to interrogation by the intelligence people to assess who you are and what you're looking for. So
you just walk into the country.
Yeah. So in the assessment, it was a long process. I was in prison a bit for about 2 months.
In Uganda too?
In Uganda, in the cells, police cells. I'm trying to cut things short. Huh?
I'm following.
Yes. So in their assessment, I fitted into a team that was out for change, because they wanted me to go to fill those things for asylum. I said, no, me, I just want to be in Kenya. They said, okay, choose the country you want to go to. I said, okay, Libya and Cuba. And Libya and Cuba don't accept refugees, because the philosophy is stick to your country and liberate it. Don't come and bother us here.
They can support you to liberate your country.
Yes, and if you have to go there, you go there because you're going for preparations to come back.
Yes.
So when I gave those countries, I realized this guy is still sober. So that's how I got a chance to join my team in Uganda in preparation to go and undergo training. I'm saying that when you leave this country politically, there are those who go out, go to school, get a master's, get a PhD, get jobs, even do business. Now, there are those who go out there and continue the struggle.
Yes.
And in my understanding at the time when I was coming out of prison, what this country needed was not an additional lawyer, an additional historian. No, it needed somebody with the education that can respond to Moi's, instruments of coercion. So the most relevant education for me at the time was military training. Okay. Because already Hawke had been killed, people had been killed in Kamkunji and that kind of thing. So we needed to come and provide security for the people. The same way the Rwandese under Frederick Jema and Paul Kagame did, training, arming themselves to come and neutralize the state apparatus that was in office. Okay. So I went to the Institute of Relevant Education, that is military training in Western Uganda,
yes,
courtesy of Museveni. And while I was there, I was privileged to carry the title of intelligence officer attached to the president's office. Now that was important for me because then I could move anywhere and secure my guerrillas as I pick them from Kenya and take them there for training at the roadblocks, they check and salute and I pass. So that's where I was in 1992 when we came back. We came back to engage the system.
So in Museveni captures power in 1986. I've read that story for a bit. Yeah. And they capture it through guerrilla warfare,
yes,
right?
Yeah.
And after that, I assume he wants a stable country. He has no business training more guerrillas.
Yes.
How does this now become a program that is still active?
No, check. If you went to Libya, in this African continent and even Kenya,
yes,
We have mainstream official history and liberation history.
Yes.
And on the Kenyan scene, in the African situation, if you go to Libya, in those years, we had what we call Mathaba International. Mathaba International was a military training camp where all groups that were committed to fighting imperialism got the military training. Yes. We even had the Irish Republican Army, they were training from there. Fode Sanko was training from there. Taylor also trained from there. In fact, Fode Sanko trained with my Secretary General, Dr. Kabere Njenga. And in fact, he used to tell me that one of the things you could say about Fode Sanko is that he never ate. His soldiers had to eat fast. And finish, then he eats last. I'm just saying that there was such a facility for the ANC and all of us. In fact, Koigi's Kenya Patriotic Front trained its people from there.
Koigi's Kenya
Patriotic Front, another grand movement. It also trains people there. So now, how do we come to train in Uganda? We come to train in Uganda because at the time, we had a few African countries who believed were a bit anti-imperialist and embraced some socialist values.
Yes.
That was, we had Gaddafi, we had Jerry Rawlings, then we had Museveni, and some other guy, about five of them. So what they decided that the trainings in Libya were not appropriate because of the desert environment and the forest environment in this region. So the trainings were decentralized to Uganda, sponsored by Libya, but the trainings were taking place in Uganda.
Yes, yes.
And at the time, we were struggling to go to Libya,
yes,
but we realized that there was no need. So we trained from Uganda, and more appropriate environment and relevant to us. And you'll also remember that when Museveni took power, he also had this agenda of liberation.
Yes.
Liberating the country, the region from dictatorships. He tackled Rwanda successfully. He also engaged Congo. You know what happened in Congo? They managed to bring down Mobutu Sese Seko. You know of Brigadier John Odongo of Kenya, February 18th Revolutionary Movement. He was also in the liberation struggle in Uganda beside Museveni. Then he came back, sponsored by the same Museveni, to come and help shake up this regime. So I think we fitted both in Museveni's agenda of liberating the region, his neighborhood, and also the global agenda, the African-wide agenda for liberation, managed by Colonel Gaddafi.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. So, for the training that you get for guerrilla warfare, it's proper military training.
Yes, proper military.
Just the same kind of training that a Kenya Army officer or KDF officer will get.
Exactly. And I remember one time, one of those many arrests I've gone through. A fellow arrested me called Leonard Washira. Yeah, actually, he's the one who broke this tooth. But when he arrested me, he was so scared. Got me and said, "Don't move. I'm also trained. Don't move. I'm also trained." When we went to Kawangware Chief's camp, I was telling those people, "You play around, and this guy gets your gun, you're all finished." So I'm just saying that they knew that we were also properly trained. Yes.
So when the government was dealing with you, they just weren't dealing with someone who was just in university the other day.
Yeah.
So now you go there yourself. Like for you, it is you going there.
Yeah.
What's the plan coming back? To come train more people so that you can deal with the system as is? Or you as a person are able to run a full revolution?
No. And I don't think you want us to go that route. But what I can say is that I belong to a movement, and one of our leaders was Professor Mshere Mugo, one of the presidents of the movement. Then we had Dr. Adwawiti, we had Madero Mganga. Those are the leaders of our movement. We are a movement. Yeah. Actually, we had evolved from Mwakenya to Uwake.
From?
Mwakenya. Mwakenya is a movement of the 80s.
But I heard someone say that Mwakenya was just an excuse by President Moi.
No, that's a lie. That's a lie. So now we evolved to Uwake, and that's how we engaged the Museveni government. That gave us an opportunity to also liberate ourselves. We thank him for it.
Okay. Okay. So there's and maybe you can help us break this down.
Yeah.
The reason you want to liberate the country is so that wealth, let me just narrow it down, is not concentrated to people who exploit the many, I believe. And I believe that's like a communist agenda in terms of everyone should have an equal opportunity.
Just social justice, call it so.
Let's call it social justice, okay? And this is not an easy fight.
Yeah.
And you can correct me if I'm wrong. Please allow me to quote Miguna on this again. He writes that a revolution, and I believe this is in his book Treason, he writes that if the country goes the revolution way, a country like Kenya, it takes up to 50 years before, an average of 50 years, before things settle and then people become a republic again. Is this an accurate assessment of what it takes to reset the balance of power?
Yeah, I don't really feel happy responding to an opinion from Miguna.
Yes.
Because one, he's among those who refused to come for military training. Yeah, and went to do masters and become PhD holders, and the rest of us became Mr. Bukes because we were choosing to engage the system. So I would rather respond to a person who took up the challenge to say that revolutions happen this way, and the relevant skill and education is this, and he embraced it, as opposed to somebody who has just studied about revolutions. I don't want to respond to that. Yeah.
Fair point. Yeah. Fair point. Someone who has done it and so fair point. I just had to give credit from where the idea came from.
Yeah.
So now you come back. The system is what it was. In 1992, we veered off at there is money flowing around. Politician.
Yeah.
What is the mindset that separates you from there is money here from people who, and I believe that's your age set.
Yeah.
You leave campus around the same time. They are running the show. It is very possible for you to just join and make money and enrich yourself. Why do you choose a different path?
Yeah, that is a question. I wish Kagia could answer that question first, because in my opinion, the greatest person with regard to having the moral energy to accept privilege and gain for himself, and he rejects that and chooses to remain a poor man. You know, I visited him in the 90s, and one of the things which has never left my mind is that he ran a small posho mill, and for the 2 hours we were with him, he received 4 shillings. Somebody was coming to pay a date, and they paid him 4 shillings. Now, a freedom fighter of that stature is in the posho mill, and for 2 hours, it was getting to 3. He had received 4 shillings. And when he bought soda, I thought he enjoyed the soda so much. I'm just saying that people are just normal. He's just a normal person who needs resources, he needs comfort, he needs to drink a soda. But he chooses not to satisfy personal appetite at the expense of the rest. I think I would say that I wish Kagia answered that question, because his experience and the life he lived and the struggles he was involved in were far more intense than mine. But from where I come, I think that for you to make that choice, it's all about how you've been socialized into understanding what you think should be a role in society, and what really is happiness. Is happiness achievable at individual level, alone, in an environment of distress? Is it possible for you to be happy in an environment where people are unhappy and are hungry? and what really is a pillar for stability and progress for society. And is it possible to progress unstoppably achieve in an economic system that is collapsing? I think the consciousness I was lucky to develop tells me that a development of a person building your own things and growing rich in an economy that's collapsing and is headed into a catastrophe is self-deception. You know, I come from the border, and during the Min era, we had many people. People come and they say, yeah, that building in Bali is mine, but you can't go back there. Says, I'd build a house this other side. If you go to Mukono, you'll find this house, but you can't go back there because politics has changed. So in my understanding, I think that it's important to be collective, to have the collective mind. I don't know that I'm putting it rightly. It's important to think not just for yourself, but the community as well. Yes, because it is the community's happiness that guarantees your happiness. You know, you've had this clip on social media about a Ugandan who says you build a big house, then you have to put grills, then you have to do a gate, you have to have a dog, you have to have, so, and when something goes wrong, you can't sleep. So now the hungry out there can't sleep, and you as rich man also can't sleep because when the dog barks, you think they have arrived to claim some of your share. So I think that I have been able to be slightly better, not great, but just slightly better in responding to temptations to receive money that's unjustified based on the fact that I know all of us ought to be comfortable for real happiness to be experienced. I don't know if I've said anything.
Perfect. And I think the perfect follow-up to this was, I asked someone close to me, for purposes of his privacy, let me not reveal his name, but he introduces a very interesting concept. Kamuza, can you say no to money under these circumstances? He said, let me fight poverty first. Then after I've finished fighting poverty, now we can approach that communal mindset. To a great extent, you understand where that statement is coming from.
Yes.
Because if you find yourself in a setup where there's a lot of money and you don't make away with a chunk of it, right? People say the general mindset is you did not take advantage of the situation you are in. You become you become a victim. The community that you would act in the interest of turns against you. Is that a solid rationalization of how people respond to money?
Yeah, I don't know that I could give some examples of my own experience.
Please do.
I have had many times when I've been in an environment where you have to choose the people's agenda or your personal comfort. And I think one of those experiences were when I petitioned Parliament to disband the Isaac Hassan. Is it called who? Isaac Hassan.
Isaac Hassan, yes.
Commission. The speaker to the county, Nairobi County, it's called Magelo. Yes, he's dead now, God rest his soul. He called me after, of course, filing, and we had already began proceedings. I was in Bungoma. He said, where are you? I'm in Bungoma. So, hey, but I want to talk something. Please, can you come Nairobi? I said, no, I'm not in a hurry, but what's the problem? He said, just come. Do you have fuel? I said, no. Then he said, which car do you drive? I said, I drive a Toyota 111. Sent me, I think it must have been 20K or something like that. So I went, what's this going on? So when I went to City Hall, the guy, ushered in very fast, cakes, tea, just like here. Then I found myself with him alone. He told me, Bonda, I've talked to these commissioners. Yeah. And please, they don't want to lose their job. So what you do, I've agreed with them. We're going to meet in Intercon, and they will sort you out. They give you a good cow, and you should be okay. See, now there, you see, what are the issues there? The issues are, we need this commission disbanded so that we can have free and fair election and people don't die. People don't go to prison. the right leaders are elected, and we have a just system with less corruption or no corruption. Okay? That's what we gain from disbanding these people. Now, the other thing that I'm supposed to gain is my own bribe to disengage. So he said he had booked a room in Intercon. So, but I went to Raila immediately. I went to Capitol Hill, so near here, Capitol Hill Center. And I went and told him, hey, boss, I didn't know that there's money in these things. He said, what? I told him, Ole Magelo called me and he says I'm supposed to be going to Intercon to be paid money so that I don't continue with this petition.
They give you a cow.
Yeah, they give me a big cow. Yes. So, well, his reaction was, yes, you just take and then you say you're thinking about it for a long time. Then you...
Baba told you that?
He told me that, yeah. I don't know that he was joking, but the issue is that he told me you should have just taken and then you say, I'm thinking about it. But the point, I think he may have been joking. But the point I'm trying to say is that this money is a bomb against the people. Yeah?
It's a bomb.
It's a bomb against the people, yes. Yeah. So taking the money is sabotaging elections, is causing post-election violence of 2008. It is replaying it, actually. So I think, for me, as to choose between the two, I would choose, yeah. Then you also have issues of integrity also. My mother died sometime, just trying to land on the money I have. And we did an Arambe and buried her. Then a politician arrives. That was, I think, was it John Waluke? Yeah, my local MP. Came with donation from the governor, 30,000. And he announces that the money has been brought for the funeral to the public. Now the funeral is over. So what am I supposed to do? He gives me the money and I tell people, please line up. The funeral is over, so this money is not necessary. Yeah, you know, what I'm trying to do is get people to know that money has a purpose. And in this case, the purpose for the money is no longer there. So we don't need the money. So giving away that money, instead of keeping it, to share it with my people alone, amounts to giving people the wrong message. Why are you, your mother is already buried, why are you keeping the money? So I'm telling them, you are right, I shouldn't keep the money. So let's share it. I'm just trying to say that's good manners. I've also been in Orange House, and of course, you know DM, and like all other parties, there can't fail to be some corruption. People call me aside, say, oh, here is money. Yeah, please, you go and do this. I say, just come. Take them to the finance department, and I say, well, oh, our brother here has donated this money to the party. Then I give away the money. You see, what that does, I'm trying to create a cadre for change in this person who's trying to bribe me. And one of them came from, I think, Ugunja, forever praises me and talks about me because I gave him that injection of treatment.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let me paint.
So there are many.
Let me paint a
scenario. Yeah.
I have a friend, very close, called Otieno Mokaya. Yeah. He's an advocate. So now we get into it. I believe it's Gabon president. Yeah. Omar Bongo. Yeah. So he paints to me a scenario of how he used to deal with critics. Yeah. If you make so much noise, let's call it making noise. Yeah. If you criticize the government so much, before he kills a person, he would call the person with his family, right? Offer them a house, land, the cars they want. Yeah. And he wouldn't tell you anything and then let you go. And Mokaya paints it as a picture. He paints a picture of, it's a form of a warning, right? It's a form of a warning.
A last chance.
A last chance. So if you speak again, they would kill you, all right? Yeah. I think I pick a similar vibe from Koigi Wamwere when he says he was called to State House and offered a very huge chunk of land.
10 acres, yeah.
Yes, 10 acres in Nakuru. If, as a revolutionary, you find yourself in a place where it's a matter of your life and your lifestyle, right? You've been presented with everything you need versus losing your life. How does one go through the process of decision making when the stakes are that high?
You see, I can't say that it is wrong to receive or it is right to receive. It all depends. I think for me, if you accept to take an offer like that, it can only be justified if it fits within a strategy that is supposed to help this country get liberation. But if that property is just giving you personal comfort, that's betrayal. They're planting wrong seeds in the struggle. Yeah. But you can accept an offer. You can rob, just like the Algerians used to send robbers to rob banks and get money. You can con, you can cheat and be given money. I have engaged Cyrus Jirongo, and I think you may have come across that, where I asked him to fund the struggle. And when I'm presenting that request, that offer that he has given us to the movement, I don't put it that he's part of the team. I say, please, enemies' monies have helped liberate countries. Let's take this money from an enemy and use the money. So now, in a situation like that, I'm accepting money from this guy and availing it, if at all it was to go through, availing the movement so that we can advance the struggle for change.
Let's put this in context.
Yes.
Without losing your train of
Yes,
thought.
yes, yeah.
I believe this is in the context of when Jirongo is Jirongo.
Yes.
So you know he has money.
Yeah.
And you come from, let me say, the side that feels that Jirongo is on the wrong side.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So you know each other here.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So you approach him for money. Do you tell him what the money is
Yes. Yes. I say this in another podcast. But the issue is, I tell him now that the system has rejected you and you're having problems fighting games of self-survival, self-preservation all over. Why don't you support us? Because you know what you've been preparing for. He said, please, I was waiting for you to tell me that. So now he tells me, please go back to the underground and ask them to develop a budget. He is consciously funding a revolutionary agenda which seeks to overthrow him and the rest. And that has happened in history.
But he's fighting, which means he's no longer part of the system.
He's no longer part of the system.
He
yes.
will support because he's being kicked out, so this is survival.
Yes. So now, drawing a comparison with Koigi's resolve to take the 10 acres, in my opinion, he is yet to explain whether that acre... No, yes, he lives in that land. He is yet to explain whether that land he was given fitted in our overall strategy for liberation. I know that he also needs that land because he also has needs and has a family. But you see, when you're involved in a movement, the actions you do affect the chemistry and the moral texture of the cadres. So one has to be very, very careful. Of course, I can't say I have a perfect judgment, but that's my view.
And how do you trust? I believe the underground, let's call it that, is a very secretive movement or organization.
Yes.
That if you trust someone from the system, isn't this how they get to know your plans and disrupt them?
You see, all those things happen. But listen, risks are taken on all sides. Okay?
Yes.
As a senior cadre, I can assure you that for me right now, if you saw me meeting with Ruto, I don't think there's anything he can do that can change me in any way. Because I'm a developed cadre, that's how I consider myself. So now when I'm with him, there are two things. Either he loses from that discussion or that engagement, or he gains. So it's up to you who plays his cards best. And in my opinion, in the Jirongo case, I played well. Because not only do I get him to support us when he is himself being fought, in fact, after that engagement, later on, they sent policemen to raid his home. They raided his home and they went looking for guns. Headline news, actually. So I'm saying that I was not, there was nothing, I was not risking much. The person who was risking was him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So what does this tell us about society in the case of, let's say, for example, investment in a struggle?
Yeah.
Let's go back to the case of a narrative that we hear every time,
Yeah.
that the people who fought for the liberation of the country, let's say the Mau Mau warfare. I'm very careful here because I know history has been told in different fashions.
Yes, yes.
The people who fought for
Yeah.
the country, the people who are in the forest,
Yeah.
today have the poorest descendants and they lived very miserably. So
true.
they that survived.
Yeah.
And the people who sold them out form part of the richest families in this country, or if not, living very comfortably.
I agree.
What does it say about, when you look at this, because this is the likely pattern of these things,
Yeah.
what is the end goal?
You see, you don't have to go far. You can talk about me and Gachagua, Rigiji. Rigiji was my classmate. Yeah. I was my classmate. So his role in the university was one of helping the system preserve itself by providing necessary information that can crack down on us. So that was Rigiji. And now here is Buke and Miguna, who also said, no, this system has come down. It is very difficult for a young person of your level to appreciate, to choose to be me. Because we have Gachagua here, who has maybe an helicopter, is up there, and then here is Buke, who may easily pick a motorbike to reach Syokimau Estates. Of course, I'm better than that. So it's very difficult to really understand that. But I think that if we pushed history from the 50s
Yes.
and held it constant,
Yes.
and stretched it to 19 or 2000, where will Gachagua be? No, he'll be either a prisoner or shot or something like that. But because others said this must stop, they created conditions for the comfort of the few traitors who emerged from among us. That comfort would never have been there if the rest did not choose to discard comfort so that they can invest in creating conditions for the comfort of everybody. So between these two, between Gachagua and myself, who is the father of comfort? Is it those who wanted Moi to remain there and couldn't destroy roads the way they were? Or is it us who said, no, we have to fight, bring multipartyism, get Kibaki to take power somehow, and then repair the roads that we've done? He is my son. He is eating things I put in place. You have no business respecting him more than me. Who is the father of that particular? Who is the creator of that comfort? Now that looks fairly metaphysical, but the truth is this: human civilizations, change in the world happens more because of those who sacrifice than those who wait to ambush and eat. In the absence of those who sacrifice, there'll be nothing to be eaten. What do you think?
That's a solid submission.
Yeah.
In the absence of those who sacrifice, there will be nothing to eat.
There'll be nothing to be eaten. So do we discard the struggle and eat nothing together? Or do we struggle and get something and hopefully many also benefit as a few gain because, society also evolves gradually and you can't determine which route it picks. But if there will be any change that will satisfy many, the building blocks are laid by those who sacrifice and embrace the view that it is important for us to have a neighborhood where people are all comfortable. One time I talked to Billard Kagea and I asked him, please come and help us unite the opposition. That was, I think, 1997, thereabout. I can't remember well. I was a member of Safina at that time. The guy said, no, you people are useless. You celebrate being better than your neighbors. You take pleasure in being better than your neighbors. I had come with our old Volvo. You see, look at the cars you drive. Basically, he was telling me that his definition of goodness and happiness is the happiness of not just you, the historical personality, the leader, but also the neighbor. Yeah.
It's not from a competitive, it's from a complementary.
Complementing, exactly. Well put. Yeah.
Okay. So for someone, if you picture all the experiences you've gone through.
Yeah.
Are there moments you sit down and minus the selflessness still remains?
Yeah.
But are there moments you sit and look at what you could have gained and then think about the possibility of making different choices?
That is true. Pain is pain. When you've not paid school fees, it pains you. You have to deploy a lot of energy to suppress the urge to act otherwise. Yeah. It is not easy to go home and know that that traitor's child got A because the child went to an academy, and yours got a B minus because he was a day scholar or in a bad school. It's not very good. But you see, we have to force our spirits to embrace the fact that without this lineage of people who continue brewing society, even those A's that they get can't be gotten. Yeah. It is not easy. Of course, occasionally you even regret. And I have to really soul search and mobilize your spirit to really take it easy and say, you're okay. You know, I will give you a story. I have too many. I was employed in Raila's presidential campaign in, I think it was 2013.
That's the center of campaign.
Yes, yes. And the manager was the Kisi governor, Ongwae. And he kept introduce the staff to foreigners who had come, some Europeans, donors. I introduced Barack Muluka, an expert in communication, introduced everybody and skipped me. And you know why he skipped me? Because one, I have no papers. Two, I have no degree. Three, I have no CV. And in his mind, as a former DC, a CV has to be a government CV. So he skipped me because he doesn't know how to introduce me. Of course, I said, by the way, you didn't introduce me. Then people laughed. They said, oh, by the way, that's Buke. He has been in prison for a very long time. Now, that's all he can say. Yet, in my opinion, all those who are in government are doing rubbish. They're doing the wrong thing. They ought to have left the stupid jobs they're doing in government to join us in forcing the government, the system, to change so that society could maybe pick up. So that kills my spirit. You go there and say, man, just because I have no degree, this fellow is humiliating me. Yeah. And those things, I remember, finally, I've had a few wives. So one of those wives was a big girl, cereals. We go to a party, and people introduce themselves. Say, I'm from Central Bank with Kenya Power, Post Office, I'm a headmaster, and it comes to me. And I say, well, I'm Wafula Buke, and I'm just generally jobless. Now, when I go back with my wife was so angry. Why did you say you're jobless? You should have said you're a businessman. I say, but which business do I do? In the first place, the jobless are the majority. How can you be ashamed when you're the majority? So she reached a point and I said, please don't come to my office. So she told me I should not visit her office because I get her to be embarrassed. Now, this is a status I have gotten because of choosing to be a freedom fighter. But now it goes around, embarrasses me. In fact, finally the marriage broke apart because I chose the path which does not generate credentials that are likable. Yeah. So I'm saying that rejecting comfort in the system by playing along has gains that society recognizes and respects. If you go to a funeral, that fellow will be given a chair, I won't be given a chair. He'll be given a microphone, I won't be given a microphone. And these vegetables, mboga yake, wanasema hii pelekea ule, kwa sababu imetolewa miguu ya kuku na it is good. Yes. These are all privileges and problems that we go through every day. Yeah.
And you choose that deliberately.
And we choose, because, as I said, we have to choose it because it's the only way society survives. If we all go the other side, this country will fall apart, to disintegrate. There'll be no country for us.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, you in the moments of regret,
Yes.
you would paint a picture, or just to give context.
Yes.
Just to give context of times when, because when you say you are part of the ODM campaign, it means you are at the center of money.
Yes.
I'm an outsider, right? When I look at that, is this money just there for the taking? In fact, just paint for us a picture, what my friend Mokaya said, if you are flexible with your morals.
Yes.
Do you have moments that you could have been flexible with your morals and you can put a figure to how much it cost you for being, let's say,
morally up? I'll just go back the same thing you've given me. It's not always that morals don't give you money. Sometimes morals, being morally upright, it also has its money. And I'll give you the example of that time when I was with Ongwae. We had our first assignments as hired people for field operations. My style as a field operations person is that when I'm given money to go and execute a mission in Meru, I call the entire team, call the office, the finance director, put it on microphone, on speakerphone, and say, please, Brother Kawino, I have arrived here, and I wanted you to confirm that you gave me 1.2 million shillings. Is that clear? And everybody says, yes. Okay, so I'm giving them so they can handle the show, that kind of thing. Now, that doesn't happen in Kenya. What happens in Kenya is you get the money, procure things, handle everything, then keep the balance. Now, me, I handle everything to these people. Now, that went on, we began a bit. After some time, I don't want to, I feel bad to say this, but not everybody followed my script. So the end result was, I was the only one who was to go out to handle, tricky places. I was the most trusted officer, and I ended up getting more money because I get my per diem as I go around running the show. Those who are with me, and I want to tell you that they have even risen in the Uda. That route has value. They're in government. I can't mention their names. They're doing well. I made money because I was straight. They lost money because they were not straight.
But they are still eating.
No, they pursued their line and ended up realigning themselves with the system. And now there are also big boys and girls in the system. So here, I don't choose to eat money and I make some gain. But that gain is not very, very big compared to the money I would have made if I stole. But one of the other gains which I also got is that courtesy of my being a trusted officer, when ODM transited and now the campaign ended, I was easily transferred to the party secretariat to continue eating money that's clean, So it's not that we actually don't choose money. We also know that there's money also on the morally upright side of things. I have begged money from several people, including Raila. And I rarely fail to be given because they know that I can't be begging without a good reason. Yeah. Buke can't be lying. If he has a problem, I have to be given. And that support I'm given comes from the fact that I have a moral credentials that project me as a person that doesn't take advantage of situations. I'm sure somebody who saw me give money that was given for my mother's funeral, and I tell people, take because the funeral is over, we don't need this money. That person, I say, please give me 1,000 bob. He'll give me 1,000 bob. Say, if he gave away 30 and he's asking for one, then I think he needs this one. So this road of of being morally upright is not necessarily a walk to destitution. I think that Dr. William Mutunga became Chief Justice because of that. Being a credible person who can compromise values, They even told him, if you remove your earring, if we tell you to remove your earring, will you remove it? Say, no, I think I'll leave the job. I'm saying that gives him that job. So even in the system as it is, moments come when a morally upright person is required. Okay. And I'm told that in the 60s, there was a situation that required somebody who was good. And they picked, Kenyatta picked Kagea because he knew Kagea cannot mess anything. Yeah.
Kenyatta picked Kagea?
Picked Kagea to oversee, I think it was distribution of food or maize or something like that. But he was picked.
This was after Paul Ngei was allegedly, after Paul Ngei allegedly looted the cereals.
I think you know better than me. Yeah, that bit, I've never gotten it right.
There's a time Ngei got in trouble because he used to use Mzee Jomo Kenyatta's name, and I think he was selling maize, looting from the produce.
Cereals, yeah?
Yes, from the cereals. And maybe, because for him to get Bildad Kagea based on the profile he'd given,
now,
because Kenyatta warned him against stealing again.
Yes.
Yeah.
And don't write us off as people who are perpetual sufferers. Because I believe that if the GNZ had pushed Ruto out of power, I think the president they would have endorsed would have been, among others, people like me. People who are straight.
Yes.
I'm saying that the dispensation that would have followed would have sucked in a new type of people. You see? Yeah. Okay. A new type of cadre that would have run the country differently. And we can't say it's impossible. 2027 might just culminate into a situation that may call for leaders from outside the mainstream thinking. Okay. That has happened in Africa. Gaddafi took power as a small boy, brought in people like us to run the show. Libya was the best start, the most developed welfare state in the world. And now what's going on under Traore? The people running power are not the ones we have in Kenya here. Different types of people. The president talks of Singapore. Singapore changed not because somebody declared that we are going to Singapore, but because they picked people with a different type of moral fiber. That's what created Singapore. So I'm saying that if a leader ever emerges and thinks that this country should be good, he will check the CVs of people. And when they check that CV, among my age mates, I have some respectable rank, I think. Okay. Yeah. So it's also not a misinvestment. It's an investment that can deliver.
In terms of the system of equitable distribution of resources.
Yes.
I'll hold this thought kidogo, Singapore. We go back to, you said Rigiji was your classmate.
Yes.
You are in class, he's in class.
Yes.
Okay? And he has access to the president.
Yes.
So, what's the difference between you and him in terms of access? You also have influence in the university politics.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
So, given a chance to access President Moi then, do you think you would have proposed your ideas of progress to him? And what do you think the reaction would be here?
First of all, when I was elected, I made several decrees. Of course, decrees sanctioned by my comrades in the Students' Representative Council. Number one, no student leader will go to State House or meet Moi without permission from the SRC. Actually, nobody's allowed to visit the president. We're not in government. That was the first decree that I gave. And if one goes, you come back, you're not a student. We kick you out of the university. Because the guy was using us to mess things. The other thing which I did was ban tribal organizations because they're being used to give money and cause confusion and that kind of thing. Then finally, the other thing which I did was say that the elected student leaders were not to get any salary. I was not to be paid anything, and students, the rest of my colleagues were not to be paid anything. Because why should you be paid? The rest of the students we're living the same life. The difference is that once in a while, we stand on a podium and speak. Is that an expense? So I ruled out that nobody, including myself, should I gain any money. So now what am I telling you? I'm trying to say that at my level, I'm trying to advance another leadership paradigm, a selfless leadership paradigm, and also revulsion to dictatorial and exploitative practices by dissociating ourselves from the regime as it was.
Yes.
Yeah. So there was no possibility of me meeting Moi. I wouldn't have met him because he is a certified crook who can't change, and the only thing he needs to do is be pushed out of power by any means available that works.
But at this time,
Yeah.
you are important enough to have a meeting with him.
When? That time?
Yes, that
yes,
time.
Yes.
You are important enough that you would actually secure a meeting.
Yeah, he had made many. He had made Mwareru Mganga, even gone with him to Zimbabwe. Before the elections happened, he had gone with Gachagua to Toronto, and my competitor, Maina Kiranga, and others, they had gone out of the country and came back with a lot of money. So he was accessible.
Bas. So now, in my mindset, please correct me if I'm wrong. If you know that you have a progressive agenda, there's two options. Tell me if the second option is possible. Option one, rebellion, and option two, meeting at the negotiating table as someone who has something to offer, and you propose your progressive agenda. Doesn't that sound like a win-win?
That's how the system sustains itself, huh? by preaching hope in hopeless situations. Yes. To imagine that Moi can stop grabbing land and stop oppressing people who want change, and allow people to organize against him because it's democracy. In my opinion, that is preaching hope in a hopeless situation with an agenda of preserving the system as it is. You don't talk to Moi about things which you can't do. So for me, dialogue with the system at that stage, and I'm sure every historian will agree with me, would be a waste of time. Even risky, because if it is confirmed that you can actually not respond to change, maybe you can be killed at that time. The only space we had under Moi was push him to an uncomfortable corner so that he can start saying, hey, for me to survive till tomorrow, let there be multipartism. That's what he did. But talking to him, how many people did he meet? I was a small boy. He had other bigger people who talked to him, including Jaramogi and Anyona and all those people, and he was putting them in prison who tried to talk to him, both by telephone, by media, by anything else. Why would I go talking to an old man when I don't even have a bicycle? I can't do that, yeah. He didn't give us anything.
So we subscribe to the same line of thought in terms of equitable sharing of resources.
Yes.
So where do we go wrong as a country to have such imbalance now? Is it the choices that were made in 1963 or the choices, because there are two versions here. One, Mzee Jomo Kenyatta gets to ascend to power. From the history, as has been taught to us, he was a national hero. He was a leader of the Mau Mau until you read other history books. Okay?
Yes.
Then he becomes president. Then there's the conversation of greed and tribalism among Kenyans and grabbing of resources. Now, not from an individual perspective, but from a place here. Our community needs to eat now, right? And now the jostling now becomes the next community in line to position themselves to eat, right? So the country is not united as at that. But then there's also the talk of favor from the powers that be beyond this country. Who decides who becomes president and for how long, right? So even if as progressive as a leader may be, because Moi's story is told differently. It's said that he was a very progressive leader. He was a showman. He was a showman, kind-hearted. If you listen to listen to the story of Moi from Linjiro's account, then you ask yourself, what's the problem? I've seen, we have people complaining about President Ruto. There's a section of Kenyans who hate him with a passion, and there's a section of Kenyans who love him with a passion, and there's a section of Kenyans who now ask, ama sisi ndio wenda wazimu? Like, are we the problem? You understand? So is the issue the inherent greed among Kenyans themselves.
Mm.
The idea that probably these shots are called from beyond the president, that however progressive he is, there is nothing he can do.
Mm.
I'll give you an example.
Mm.
Let's step down from the national government.
Yes.
The Nairobi County in itself. Former Governor Mike Sonko says that he once got approached and was offered a bribe of 50 million shillings a day. This is daily.
Yeah.
Okay? So when you get an offer of 50 million shillings per day, this is yours. Everybody else has eaten. This is yours now. All right? He said he took the money to State House. So now look at yourself now as someone who is progressive and you want to change how the city operates and everything. But that removes money from people's pockets. And it's not small money. It's money that there is 50 million to bribe. Okay, bribe na 50 million. How much have they eaten? So why would they give that up? Let's say for them to give you 50 million, there's someone who probably makes 20 million a day.
Of course.
Comfortable, right?
Of course, yeah.
Who in their right mind would relegate themselves to making 20,000 shillings a day in a system that gives them 20 million or 30 million or 50 million a day. Right?
Yeah.
Aya. You've seen the amounts of money one requires to be president in this country.
Yes.
We are talking billions.
Billions, yeah.
2 to 10 billion Kenya shillings to run a successful campaign.
Yeah.
Right? Let me play devil's advocate for a bit. If someone becomes president, right? It is not only him, the individual.
Yeah.
There is a pyramid of people who depend on him being president.
It's true.
And they've just started eating.
Yeah.
Why would they give that up? I'm looking at it from their side too, versus the side. There's a side that has resources, the side that does not have resources.
Yeah.
What incentive do they have to give that up?
To give the 50 million.
Yes, to give it up. Like, sitaki hiyo, nimekubali, I'll be a diligent Kenyan. I do not support corruption. I will live with the integrity of Wafula Buke.
One of the things we shouldn't say, and we say it, is that Kenyans are corrupt.
That's true.
I think there's a way you can frame it differently. That like all animals in the forest and the human society, we share one thing, the instinct of self-preservation.
Yes.
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 So what we have in Kenyans, and I think it is in all human beings and insects and reptiles and other mammals, is the instinct of self-preservation. So in a system that rewards crime, in a system that opens up dark areas where you can damage your neighbor and get something small, how does one survive? You survive by looking for what brings food on the table and what makes you access resources. You see, I am a businessman.
Yes.
And there's something I have been hoping to achieve, which I think I'll fail.
Which
I think I may fail.
Yes.
It is trying to prove that it is possible to grow rich a bit without filling a procurement form.
A bit?
Yes. I have not failed. I have not tried to get any money from constituency or county government or central government. That's where money is. You feel something small, but I'm known by just about most governors and other people in government and that kind of thing. But I have not tried to get any tender because I'm now a mini businessman. I sell ugali and some hotel industry. But I am trying to prove that it is possible for one to make some money outside of legalized theft. Because what happens in Kenya is not business government. It is just stealing from government. The difference is that it is legalized theft. You do 10% and keep 90%. You do 50% and keep 50%. No, there's no such business where a person starts now and the next day is driving a Prado. Yeah, it's just theft. So what am I saying? So in an environment of poverty and many challenges, you look at what works. So what works in Kenya is engaging in economic crimes against the people through procurement and those other things which your generation struggles so much to do. So now, are we therefore corrupt when we do that? I think those who are corrupt are those who are architects of this system, who benefit in billions up there. But the rest of the ordinary people who do petty jobs, steal something small here and there, they just unpick bribes on the roads. And as a principal, you ask for uniforms, take from this school. You don't buy informal, just come and take, because then they have inflated and want to make a little money. You see, these are not really corrupt people. They're just exercising their instinct of self-preservation, which is universal to all living beings, including an insect. I would want to call them that as opposed to calling them corrupt. Yes.
But this means that if this person steals in their capacity and to the level of access they get,
yes,
if they get to the level of, let's say, a president, what's the difference?
Yes. You see, all I'm saying is this, that somebody will steal. You, educated as you are, if somebody snatched your phone and a man came with a rungu and is killing him, will you allow that?
No.
You can't allow that. A thief doesn't take a phone of 20,000 shillings. He's just a fellow looking for food. So you try to get your phone back, but save the fellow to go. So I'm trying to say that there are levels of misconduct, or is it acts of mini corruptions, that ought to be christened as exercising instincts of self-preservation in a hostile system. And towards that, I want to call myself a bit corrupt also. Why? Because for you to make money in business, there has to be some inflation. If you're doing mandazi, you do mandazi that is hollow inside but projected as big outside. So that when somebody picks the mandazi, picks extent is big, then he holds and it breathes. Meaning, I have stolen from him, because flour ought to be packed in that mandazi. So even me, as I sell my mandazi, I'm part of the problem, because I'm stealing in another way. I am not a thief. I'm just trying to survive in a system that is not conducive for, social justice. I want to think that that's how we should look at petty corruption.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. You say you have found yourself in situation where you have begged for money, even from former Prime Minister Raila Odinga.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah. Not alone, many. Even at Samia Tandi, also giving me some money.
Okay.
Even one day, he's giving me some money, some time.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let's play back the scenario of, we'll give you a big cow.
Yes.
In your projection, hypothetically,
yes,
what does a big cow look like in cash?
I can assure you, that was a big cow. I ought to regret if I have to be in the mode of thinking the many problems I would have solved. That was supposed to be a very big cow. You're trying to sack commissioners.
Yes.
And all of them, how much they make? I know that in the last election,
cabinet secretary's salary probably between 800 and 1.2 million.
I know in the last election, somebody was supposed to receive 300 million as a bribe to just see that things go the right way.
Somebody was supposed to receive
300 million. And a lot of money is involved. So in that case, when you try to also partake of it, you know that you tell them, you guys, for me to do this, I want to be liberated from poverty for the next 50 years. They'll not fail to give you 20, 30 million shillings. You won't fail to get that. Yeah. But also, I think in a way, you also ought to look at how we've been formatted. As we grow up several hungers. The hunger for cigarette, the hunger for miraa, the hunger for food, women. We're always creating more hungers. I don't know this book that talks about so many hungers, whether it had that in mind. But also, at the spiritual level, what hunger have you managed to grow over the years? Do you have a sense of guilt? Has the suffering of your neighbor planted anything in you? So if you've grown up realizing and sympathizing with people who have suffered, it is possible that you can see that money sabotaging your happiness because you have it and you can't explain it and you become guilty and live a difficult life. You remember the story of the fellow who went to court to be a witness against Dedan Kimathi. The guy lived a terrible life. People avoided him and everything. In fact, the lorry just died. And nobody, even in members of the family, nobody has named him after him. Reason? He did something that disrupted the peace of his heart. So for us also, there are those who have been wired to steal, kill, and can't feel anything as those things happen. Others have been wired to say, please, Alexander Mugi's people, children died, and they have lived a terrible life. Please let nobody live like that. Now, if you are wired like that, engaging in an act of corruption that seeks to cement the system of repression must take away happiness. You remain the money.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, thank you for that submission. You say you would beg for money.
Yes.
I'd like to give this big cow a figure so that we go back to context.
Okay.
So, when you say, get me out of poverty for the next 50 years, let's talk 30 to 50 million. Okay? And in the context of the high stakes, someone would have been given 300 million to sway an election a certain way. I'm even getting an idea of what that could be, but let's not get into that.
Yeah.
So this big cow could be something in the tens of millions. 20 million is fair.
Maybe.
30, 50 million.
Yeah.
Okay?
Of course, also go by your worth.
Your worth.
You know, a book has no car. So, you know, when you go to beg and you go by taxi, it's money you're given. And if you go with a
Prado.
You go with a Prado, your fuel is different. So I'm just saying that even as they talk to me, they know that Ahuya is Kwasana. So my price is low. That's why I can talk about 20. But the rest will talk about more.
Anyway. Let's talk about 20 million as a big cow. But then you find yourself in a fix. Like you would call Raila, I believe in Professor Manyora's podcast, you said you only asked for 60,000?
No, I used to ask for 67,000 shillings every year.
You call Baba for 67,000?
Yeah, he asks for 67, he gives me 100. Yeah. Of course, he knows that people must eat also. So I always ask for 67, he gave me 100 without fail, except the very last when somebody called me and gave me 25 instead of 100. Some current member of parliament, he was working there. Anyway, that's not important. It's not a gossip here.
It's important in context, but sour. You knew he had conned you.
Yes.
So Baba gives you 100.
Yes.
But during this time of the big cow, he says, let's say he joked. So you would have taken that money and think about it for too long. You say you're still thinking about it.
Yes.
People always say, even in the context of elections, and I think I've heard Rigiji say this.
Yes.
Kulini pesa,
yeah.
Another way. This was technically what Baba was telling you.
Yes. You know, I faced such a situation when I stood for chairmanship at the university. They contacted my very close comrade called Bilda Lukeo Kisero and told him, please, you guys, we support you. Can you give you some money? Then you go through the campaign. You do well. You don't even have posters. So Bildad Kisero came to talk to me about Seban. This guy said, what do you think? I told him, the moment we take that money, we shall never be the same again. We won't have the moral courage to advance our cause as we know it. So that money, we can't touch it. And the money was returned when I was at the university. And let me tell you, during the Harambe, which I conducted to have some money for the campaign, in fact, Lusaka was the guest of honor, Kennedy Lusaka. At the table, just we're eating. Then I say, you guys, give me some money. I had 1 shilling left in my pocket.
1 shilling.
1 shilling. Lusaka gave 50. It came to 450. That's the only money I used in that campaign from my pocket. Yet, they are coming to give us thousands of shillings. And I say, no. If we take that money, it corrupts us. So I'm also saying that taking money from those IABC people, where would I have the courage to even fight back? And let me make a confession about this. Jirongo gave me money generously, unconditionally. And you know what? Throughout his political life, I have never said anything negative about him. Let me confess that. Why? This guy gives me money for free. I was down, terrible. I was almost getting mad because of poverty. Then I just said, please, please, you mean you just can't help me, man? Me, I can't manage. But just help me. I need to pay rent. Then he gives up to a total of 2 million shillings. Now,
he gives you 2 million.
He gave me, well, it's a long story, but it came to about 2 million shillings. Now tell me, where do I stand to talk about Jirongo? From Jirongo, I learned that when you take money from somebody, that somebody had better be morally correct. If not, it destroys you. And if I took money from Ruto, of course, I am finished. I should just change countries, go back and live in Uganda and forget about things doing political morality. Yeah.
Did you have an opportunity to where Jirongo had done something that that goes against your moral principles, but you can't talk because you have been
compromised? I don't know, but I know that if ever it emerged, I wouldn't have had the courage to say anything. I was destroyed by that money as regards him. You see, I'm just saying that as we grow up, some lessons we learn and say, Kumbe, I don't do this. You know, when I was, one of the times in my life when I've been corrupt, was in Form 4.
Yeah.
I was elected as the treasurer of the drama club. I was not, you see, my father was so hard. He never gave me money. He would give me sometimes 10 shillings. I used transport.
He was a councillor.
He's a councillor, yes. 10 shillings. Now I come up to the gate. I pay 7 shillings. Then the balance is 3 shillings. So I buy one biro pen, half a loaf, and then life just begins like that. So life was so hard. But when I was elected as treasurer, I'm supposed to keep the money for the club.
Yes.
Now life got hard. They said, take 2 shillings. It got hard. They said, anyway, I'll go and reimburse. So in the process, I ended up having used money that belonged to the club. But because I was so trusted, they delayed to ask me for the money till I got the chance to escape from the school. So I embezzled that money. And from that experience, I learned something. I will never be a treasurer. And from Form 4 up to now, there's only one job I can accept. Being a treasurer. So in the same way, now I pick money from a guy who's giving me just clean money, unconditionally. But I feel its impact on me forever. Okay? So that's why now you can see the way I'm managing my life in the bourgeois setup after 1992 is trying to be clean by not accepting bad sources of money and trying to be clean and maintaining that, knowing that some resources can disrupt your moral fiber and turn into something else.
That's deep. But then I've seen Jirongo before he passed on defending himself as a businessman.
Yes.
And from where he came from,
yeah.
he expressed himself as someone who could justify where he got the money. I borrowed money, I invested. All right? But then, and I believe to a great extent, maybe you would vouch for him because...
No. There's only one way you can be a millionaire, billionaire in this country.
Oh, Lord.
By stealing. There is no other way. A
But
small boy of 31 years, 33 years, where do you find millions? Kwani umepanda kawa ngapi? So I don't even want to go into detail. The issue is this. Anytime you find a person with 50 million shillings, that fellow has not worked for that money. She has participated either in direct theft by supplying air or participated in legalized theft by supplying things at an exorbitant price.
This is in the 90s.
So I don't want to talk about how he got rich and he had an estate called Saika. Saika in Kayole. It's called, he told me that the name Saika means Cyrus in Kayole. That was his estate. Now, how a small boy like that can get one work and also get money to build a house? He's never been a clerk. He has never worked as a teacher. Where does money come from? So let's not discuss on, let's not dwell ourselves on trying to talk about legitimate. There's no legitimate business that touches government. It's just criminal practices that a system that will come into place will have to address as they were saving us from exploitation.
When you say that,
Yeah.
and I believe our audience watching, they will counter that with, oh, we have forex trading, oh, it's the digital era, oh, we have windfalls. Are you saying that in your experience, and Professor Herman Manyora said this differently, that you cannot be a billionaire in this country without stealing?
Fact. And let me tell you, when you bet, let's just call it betting in football, and you get billions, just trace the history of that money. Where has that money come from?
The people who lost.
No. That money comes from the farm, from vegetables, from mangoes. That money has been created. All wealth is created by raw labor. Crafting a spoon and getting it sold. That's where all that money comes from. Now, by some capitalist logic, this money finds itself located in a certain place because it has not been handed over to the rightful owners. So when you win and get those billions, you're just stealing. You don't deserve that money. For just marking the right dots, you've all of a sudden become where has that money come from? What have you done that qualifies you for that money? Here, we're just saying that the capitalist system is designed to benefit a few privileged ones. If it's a stock exchange, maybe, is it the stock exchange, all those things of shares and whatever. There's also, there's a crooked path around it.
Yeah.
So let's not pretend that money can come from anywhere. No. All money comes from labor. Those who work.
Productivity.
Yes. Those who work. If you build this building, you see rich people saying, I'm building a house there. And the guy can't even know how much cement, how many wheelbarrows should be mixed with cement for you to produce a good concoction for construction. They don't know. The issue is that they construct, finish, then those who do it are underpaid, and the guy calls himself a rich man. Yeah. So I don't want us to pretend that there is any justice in appropriating money by any formula, by any excuse to a private individual, and you say you worked hard. No. It's just an unjust system that appropriates people's, incomes in a manner that's not fair.
But we have, let me give you an example.
Yes.
They say you cannot get rich from a salary. I have a friend who I've watched grow. Like from nothing, he goes, at some point he earns 450,000 a month. At some point he goes, plays around 1 million shillings, and more. He actually grows, like gigs here and there. He has grown like in the multiple millions in the communications industry. Okay, someone comes up with an idea that actually solves problems for entrepreneurs, no relationship with government, and they actually make money.
How is the pricing system? What do they assess? How do they arrive at that exorbitant price? What miracle has it done that makes you qualify for all those monies? Rather you've gone to countries that have had a socialist background.
Tanzania, I've watched documentaries.
Tanzania, but you can also talk about Ethiopia. I've gone to Ethiopia. Just not so long after the departure of Mengistu Haile Mariam, the communist. The communist system is a control system.
Yeah.
Say you don't this thing, the cost of production is this. So you can't ask for too much on top of this.
Mm-hmm.
If you go to a shop in Ethiopia and try to say, no, this shirt can be 2,000, it's I think 1,000. You know the fellow gets annoyed.
Mm.
Because what you're doing, you're calling him a thief.
Mm.
Yeah. Because there, the value of products has been evaluated with the involvement of the state, and they have established that actually this property is supposed, this product is supposed to be sold at a certain price. So when you go beyond that, it is immoral. Okay? And the culture of not being exorbitant is entrenched courtesy of the value system that Mengistu Haile Mariam put in place under the socialist philosophy. So now come here. Go to River Road. You ask for an item, they say it is 3,000. So, let me go. Ongea one. You come and buy it at 700.
Mm-hmm.
Correct?
Yeah, correct.
In Kenya, the ranges are very big. From 2,000, you can buy something at 400. What does that mean? It means that the socioeconomic environment in which you operate from gives one or some opportunities to access and acquire criminal money.
Let me give a submission to just that point from an economic perspective.
Which economics?
Let me give an
Call
example.
it bourgeois economics.
No, not bourgeois. I'll defend it. Is this information, and my question is this information gap or exploitation? Because what you've described as a socialist, as a social economy, where the government controls prices, right? It stifles productivity because the reward is the incentive for growth, right? Let's come to Kenya, where you give an example. Let's assume we are in a market economy. You can choose to sell this bottle of water at 1,000 shillings, right? But if I sell this same bottle, if I look enough to where I can find this bottle for 60 shillings, even if the customer likes you so much, they will not buy it for 1,000 shillings. So here, I would say the burden is on the customer, and this is where information comes in, to make sure that this is the best possible deal you get in the market.
I'm really struggling to listen. Go on.
No, I want to make sure that we are on the same page. If you go to River Road and you buy this for 200 shillings, but you can actually get it for 100, right? The difference is not the exploitation, is in the information you have, right? The government cannot control all prices, but the market can balance all prices. So the issue is not the greed of the person, but rather how competition has been balanced, right? My opinion.
Do you see how that explains why we have huge gap between the rich and the poor in Kenya? Do you see? Can you be able to take that argument those levels, whereby you know very well a certain population, a certain category of people cannot have certain information? Then you allow the system to operate on the basis of information which some can't get. They become casualties of the system that allows this practice to go on, which system can't even avail the same information to everybody as a precondition for the practice to continue. I'm trying to say that you are simultaneously explaining why there's a huge gap between those who don't have information and therefore are exploited and those who have information. Of course, not all of us have information.
That's where
we
have a platform like
and
this.
There's no democratic system that allows us to have education on equal basis. It is not there. In fact, it is some classrooms cost 300,000 shillings. And they have access to computers and everything. Now you take this one to the market and take my child from Chimkube to the same market. How will this fellow even negotiate his way around the market? I'm just saying, the values you are advocating, the argument you are giving, is the argument of those who sustain this system so that they can continue benefiting and having an immoral access to opportunities that ought not to be as lucrative as
you seem like I get where you're coming from.
Yeah.
But if I was to ask you, between the government building a house for someone to get them out of poverty versus creating an environment where they can also earn to build themselves a house. That is my philosophy, right? Create an environment where, to go back to the argument, is I am pro, let people get information so that they can make choices,
Yes.
rather than they remain in the dark so that we do things for them so that they don't get exploited. Does that make sense?
No, it does make sense. The only problem is this: the how. Is it practical under the current system? It is not practical under the capitalist system, because the capitalist system ensures and thrives on people not having information and others having information the world over. That's how the system runs. So this talk about enabling people access information, just bankrupt falsehoods being pushed around, but it can't be achieved.
Why should
I
believe?
For us to have an equitable society, the argument has to go down to who owns what and what do we as a country own and how are we using these resources to affect people's lives. Now, for us, under the capitalist system, everybody has his own space. This is the personal land of somebody. Hamas, all these billions in 1 month. Okay? And that can be discussed. Yet, this building was constructed by people. It's an investment by lawyers from Bongo and the Kambas from Machakos. Yes, they're just underpaid. Because if you value the input, you look at this building, how much money is it going to raise in the next 100 years? They deserve a certain fraction that is calculated along those lines. Obviously, they're the creators. Okay? Now, under the capitalist system, that's not there. It is you. These people don't know the price of labor in Nairobi. Let's not use these ones here, just like the way the Chinese, the Americans are doing. Instead of using expensive labor in America, they take things to China and they come and produce this, what they call this industry estates, this place where they go and do clothes. Take Luyas and Kikuyus and there and they do things and they work like everything. Then they take to America and sell. You see, that's the game. And all these things happen because the system allows it. And there is a silent conspiracy against the people accessing knowledge. Why do you produce a shirt here? Using, for every shirt you are paid 500 shillings. And the Gundam shirt is going to be sold for 7,000 shillings. You think this 500 shillings is fair? you want to pay it on information? No. The system we have, of course, can be better. I'm not saying that we need a socialist system, because you also have other systems, other arrangements, hybrids. You go to countries like Norway. Yeah, the situation is different. People are taxed, and that tax is used to provide education for all. Okay? And when people retire, they are paid generously. They're given discounts because the petrol which they have and they mine is not properties of individuals. For us in Lodo, when oil was so-called discovered, I don't know if they're still there, people rushed and bought those blocks because they want to siphon the petrol themselves. Now, in a country which is trying to take the rest from these people who have capitalist knowledge, privileged knowledge that others don't have, privileged opportunities which others don't have, the state moves and owns on their behalf and controls what goes on there. And the profits that emerge from there are made available in various forms to the people. And that's where I think the politics of Kenya have always gravitated. We were in ODM, we were in KPU, we were in the Kenya. We have been agitators for social democracy, a system that protects the masses from these knowledgeable, privileged people from some history.
I get it.
Yes.
I believe it's accurate to conclude that you and I would target a same result in terms of equitable sharing of resources, but the formulas are different. I believe
that's good. That's a good conclusion. Yeah.
I believe that the same way you believe that through you have believed that through a formula of pressing, kufinya, you can get results and equitable. And the word you use, equitable distribution, and the word you use is protecting the masses that don't know, don't have information from the people who know. I believe in the possibility that people can know. I believe in the possibility, you've called it.
I want you to thank the Norwegians because they don't just say it. I've told you about free access to education. The day we have education being available to the poor, education of similar quality, then we can now talk about what you're talking about. But in the absence of that, no. It's wishful thinking to say that there can be equitable access to knowledge or information when the barriers are cast in stone. Yeah, I don't know whether I make any sense, but that's what I'm saying.
You do, but we all want equitable distribution.
That's
of
good. That's good to hear.
I did my calculations.
Yes.
I may be off by a year or two,
Yeah.
but you find yourself in campus around the same time as President Ruto.
No, he was first year. In fact, it's him who told me. He was in first year and I was in third year.
Exactly.
Yes.
So I'm off by either 1 or 2 years.
1 or 2 years. Yeah, 2 years.
You are like, if this was a movie I'm watching, you are two characters in the movie who have a certain impact to the story of what Kenya is, but you're playing different characters, right?
Yes, yes.
One would say that Kamasai, we have started seeing you. I've read about you, but I've started seeing you recently.
Yes, yes.
In podcasts and
Yes.
telling your side of the story.
Yes, yes.
And President Ruto, who was in first year when you were in third year,
Yes.
is now president of this
Yes.
country
Yes.
that you have been working so hard to liberate.
Yes.
And for him, would you say that he mastered the system and worked with it?
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
In the context of, and I'll go back to an example of Jirongo. I'll assume he's your friend.
Yes, this is I would call it so.
Where one time the president says, mi nilikuwa mtu wa mkono wa Jirongo, nikapanga mambo, and look at where I am, and I'm calculating, if I play my cards right, I'm president, and then he becomes president.
Yes.
One would say, in the setting of Nairobi University or the University of Nairobi, that has contributed a lot to the leadership of this country.
Yes.
In terms of personalities.
Yeah.
You are in the same setting, you are ahead.
Yes.
How do you summarize the difference between the two of you in terms of the results you have achieved as at this moment that we're sitting here?
I'm tempted to explain a bit about the Jirongo phenomena because he had access, I had access. I think he must have got many millions, also got about 2 million shillings. It's a lot of money those days, a lot of money. But look at how I used mine. Mine, first of all, we were organizing a revolutionary movement. Yes. And I saw my money as a means by which we were going to generate income and fund our operations. I remember my father asking me, please, my son, you have money, buy land, at least 10 acres. That time, land in Kitale was going for 50,000 shillings per acre.
You have 2 million.
I have 2 million. Say, buy. But I knew that because we're going to fight this system, I'll be killed. So what's most important is for me to invest in the struggle and make sure that I create a business that can service our military operations. So now I chose a business which would fuel our struggle. And I can't go into detail because some things are criminal. Then the other thing which I also did, when I discovered that the movement was having problems, I decided to look for comrades and ask them to give me business plans so that I can fund them towards have some money. Now, I'm sure Ruto didn't do that. Ruto did not look for the poor to give them the money so they can be as happy as I. Me, I looked for them. Yeah. I looked for them. Say, you guys, I have some money. What can you do? One of them told me, I want to be transporting potatoes from where and take them where. I said, how much? Shika. You, I want to start selling traditional changas. You want those abukusus. How much do you want? You said 40,000. Basically, that's what I did. So now, even when you access opportunities for self-advancement, the philosophy, the morals that guide your life also determine how you spend that money. It is all of us or none of us. And that's why at the end of it, I became so poor. The 2 million shillings, the only thing that I have left of that money is a blanket called Raymond, which I bought at 300 shillings. I've kept that blanket just to remember the 2 million shillings. I don't know what we're talking about.
The difference.
The difference, yes. Now, let's come to the difference now. So now, at the university, we are at the university now. What ladders are available? Ladders to where? The first ladder, which the whole nation knows about, is get close the system, sabotage change, support the impoverishment of the people, stop process of land redistribution, and, sabotage people's lives and make a kill and grow rich. That was the ladder that was provided for by Moi. And he used to pick us consciously. Pick students, goes with them to Canada, goes with them to Zimbabwe, and they are easy, Gachagua could talk to Mzee the way he wants. So, as soon as they leave college, they get accommodated. Just about all of them become DOs. Gachagua became a DO because he's now part of the government. And those days, a DO and a DO comes out, my friend, you must go home with a goat. If you go in a meeting, you go home with 2 goats. And the chiefs in Mukuru, Kwanjenga, and these are used to give away land. Chief anakuambia, we jenga you. Also, I know about it. So with all these powers, the provincial administration, they continue accumulating and accumulating. When you are broke, you simply look for where people are drinking traditional brew and make some money. Yeah. So they had opportunities to make so much money because they are the province system. So I'm saying that's one ladder. And I'm not expanding it to loans and the grants and the grabbing land and everything else. And, Now, which other ladder existed? The ladder that existed is the one that was constructed by Dedan Kimathi, where he said, please, Uhuru na Mashamba, you guys, let's fight, have a free country where we shall share the land and have access to it. So, I choose the ladder where people should actually also eat as people who deserve this land, since they inherited it from God. Let's also fight, have a democratic system which gives us a chance for everybody to get elected, to become an MP. That's what the ladder that we all picked. So now, for Gachagua to succeed and become as big as he became, what he needs to do is be so morally backward, be so inhuman, be brutal, break all the 10 commandments. That's the ladder. That's what he needs to grow and reach that particular top. Now, what do I need to also climb this ladder of Dedan Kimathi? What I did is simple. When I left prison, I had a girlfriend, and she came and told me she had gotten a child. We people have gone to prison, are very accommodating. We don't fear bringing up children born by other people. So my girlfriend, I came out, and my girlfriend had a child. That's not a problem. I think it would have been worse if I was outside. I would have gotten more children than you, so there's no problem. She told me, let us please just get married. Now I'm a teacher. We have some money. She's teaching secondary. We can stay together. I told her, no. You know what? Those things I was doing out there, I'm still doing them. And those are the ones that I'm married to now. So what you do, just go back to that guy who gave this child. Me, I am still involved in these things and I can be jailed for a long time. So I'm not good enough for you. I'm saying that for me, the credentials I require to climb the ladders that Dedan Kimathi gave us is to give up the family like Dedan Kimathi did. And did I finally lost the wife anyway? I left her and it went like that. I am giving her up to go and stay without a girlfriend in Uganda for 2 years. So the moral credentials you require for this particular ladder is a willingness to die and the capacity to reject evil money so that you can have the moral purity to engage the system. And that's what I have tried at this level. I have had my challenges, but I think that if you looked at the scorecard, it is possible, at least at the very minimum, I have tried to play loyal to the cause and also maintain a morality that can inspire the rest to pick up from where I've reached. So both of us have achieved big time based on the goals that we set out to achieve.
Okay. I respect the commitment 100%. And I also believe, because I've also been in situations where I've made such decisions, not from a revolutionary perspective, but in terms of making choices, in terms of what money am I taking and what am I comfortable taking home.
Yes.
But in terms of your choices in how you spent the 2 million, it gave you happiness, it gave you fulfillment.
It gave my people,
your people,
comrades, some money.
100%.
Yeah.
Were you able to measure the success rate of the choice you took? And just to give a background to this, is naturally, and I stand and I put this on a pillar of what do I call it? Like, correct me if I'm wrong, but observation. I'm a big fan of money and understanding how the system works.
Very
the
good.
Money system.
That's important.
Yes. So I tend to believe that the best people in business are the people who succeed in business, the people who grow from one level to the next, are the people who, if you find someone doing something and they were making progress and all they're struggling for is capital, and then you inject something in them, they actually become a success to a great extent.
Yes.
A great percentage.
Good.
But for the people who just wish they can start a business and all they're waiting for is capital, there is an over 90% failure rate in them. So as you have your 2 million and you're looking for comrades, what did you want to do? And they have nothing, all they're waiting for is capital. It is safe to say that a great percentage of your sacrifice, in terms of, it's not the intention. In economics, it's not about the intention, it's about the results.
Yes.
There is a high possibility that the money you give was just experimental and probably they did not lift from one level to the next.
It didn't.
It did
you
not.
know, I don't want you to confuse things. You see, you talk about success. Now, what have me and my comrades, what have we achieved? What have we achieved? A Kenyan who was there in the 70s and 90s can give a list of what you've achieved. You see where we are now? These things we're talking. Very soon, I'll be read by everybody. That didn't come from Ruto. It came from Titus Adungozi, who was killed. It came from Alexander Muge, who was killed. You see, those democratic gains are the real things that define our victory. We have a multi-party system. Where did it come from? You know, when I was in the National Service as a small boy, Northern Monoko came there and to address us as a KANU executive director. He spoke and spoke and spoke and finished. Then I carried my hand up and said, why are you expelling people from KANU? Where do you want them to go? You already have one party, and yet you're kicking out Georgia and you're kicking out. Where do they want them to go? I told him, in my opinion, you are moving us very fast towards a certain form of Uganda. That time, Museveni was fighting for liberation. Obote made life so difficult, no parties could operate till Museveni decided to go to the bush to cause the current war that's going on. So I told him that, in fact, in my opinion, if Ngugi ever prays, then he prays that you continue oppressing people till we get a chance to revolt against and overthrow you. Actually, what happened is that after that, somebody, the comrade came, took the microphone and said, you don't do this politics here. And I went on the way I wanted. And then the police came to see what they can. I'm trying to say that at that point, young as I was, I'm throwing a stone that is supposed to help society become a multi-party system. So when you have a multi-party system here and you don't give me credit for trying to fight it when I was young and continued it after the university and go to jail and continued up to now, that's not fair. So these ones who talk about the houses in Lavington, of course, very fenced with dogs. They can't sleep because the poor can come for them. Yeah. Then for us, we shall say, at least we have civil society, we have organization, the media is free. I can insult Ruto, I can insult Uhuru Kenyatta, I can insult Raila and get away with it. I can think objectively and the world listens to me. These are all gains which can be measured in terms of money. Yeah.
Understood.
Yes.
On behalf of everyone who benefits from the people who
Yes.
shed blood,
Yes.
and the people who survived like you, for the conversation we're having, thank you. If that means...
That sounds good.
Thank you, Sam.
Mm.
So, thank you for that part.
Yeah.
But then again...
Are you thanking Gachagua also? Condemn them. Because they have been sabotaging everything we try to do. You cannot hold in high esteem, let me say, the Jirongos and the Rutos and the Gachaguas. Those are our problems. That's the reason why we can't move from political freedom to economic freedom. So as you thank me, can you also condemn them?
I condemn everyone who has stepped or who has benefited from the blood of Kenyans. Everyone.
Another one. Proceed.
But when the story is written, Raila gets the credit, the former Prime Minister Raila Odinga, for fighting Moi and that's how it's written, for fighting Moi and getting him to repeal Section 2A and advancing
not Raila, all of us.
To a great extent.
Those who fought hardest, in fact, died. The greatest heroes in every war are those who take maximum risks and die because they don't even know what they would have become. Those who remain are lesser heroes than those who fought. So I'm trying to tell you that it is correct to appropriate credit to the movement
100.
as opposed to an individual.
100. But what I'm saying is, when you see people, when you hear people getting criticized, they say, you see the freedom of speech you're enjoying? This is what Raila fought for. This is what Raila wasn't intention for.
As our representative.
As a representative.
Yeah. Agreed.
So he was a representative of the movement.
Yeah.
Okay? So that's what I mean. So now, when you... to a great extent, I believe this conversation has been meaningful. Thank you for making time for us. 100%, sincerely. But I have a burning question.
Yes.
We are finished. I have a burning question.
Are we on camera? Still, yes.
No, we are on camera still.
I'm okay. I have no secrets in my life.
Yeah.
Many.
How comes Joseph Kony has never been arrested? This is my opinion. Has never been arrested. And Museveni, you will say, is a master, guerrilla master. I'm using this one very carefully.
Yeah.
Because for him to capture power and sustain leadership for the long that he's been in power, it means he understands both formal government structure and guerrilla warfare, if it's different formats, okay? Just for separation purposes.
Yeah.
How powerful is he that he has maintained also his side to date?
I don't have an operational answer, but I have a theoretical answer. You know, Kony is not an ideological warrior. He's not fighting. He's not been fighting to put into place another system. It's just a bandit fighting to capture power and you don't know what he'll do. Now, people like that don't attract a lot of attention from institutions that seek to keep order. I think if Kony was a revolutionary, definable in ideas, even the international police and the imperialist forces by Trump would have tracked him down. But in my opinion, Kony is still there because he's not very dangerous. I don't think Museveni sees him as so dangerous to waste his energy on him because he's not a threat to his government enough. That's what I think. But if he was an ideological alternative to Museveni's 10-point program, though he has abandoned them, then they would have caught up with him. I want to think that he is not a danger big enough to get the full attention of the instruments of coercion overseen by Museveni.
Thank you for saying that.
Yeah.
It's an interesting thought to explore. Where in your podcast with Professor Manyora, he opens with a very strong question.
Yes.
And it threw me off for a bit. He asked you, why are you alive? I was like, there's a difference between why are you alive and how are you alive? Okay? And in your story, in how you escaped Uganda, I believe this is where your life gets saved. They almost captured you. And offset, you said that you survived by staying ahead of the system.
Yes.
So in terms of paying the ultimate price, you can trace moments that you could have also paid the ultimate price.
Yes.
That's phase one. But phase two, there's...
I have actually survived assassinations. Not once, a few. And Kagia also. Kagia told me he survived 7 assassinations. I can tell you that I've also survived a few, including those you are running away and somebody's supposed to shoot. Another one, they took my own uncle, yeah, and funded him. And it take a clan in Uganda to call the fella and say, now listen, why do you want to... I'm just saying that in this business, the issue of surviving death is automatic, especially when you are a committed cadre to the cause you've identified.
So every time you survive, does it make you bolder or does it make you more cautious?
You know, I have worked with Raila. That's the person I find as a moral challenger. And one of the things you experience when you're with Raila is that you can die anytime. Because the guy, you tell him, this is what you've picked on the ground, Mungikis, or their assassins and what, say, no, that's not the problem. That's what they're planning. What are you planning? If the system wants to kill you, they'll kill you. Don't even bother. And by the way, he talks on phone. He remember WhatsApp, you need those things, he doesn't do that. When I spoke to him last, he was talking on normal phone. He says, no, it's not a question of whether Ruto will be removed. Ruto will be removed, but it's how we shall remove the fellow. He's talking on normal phone, which is dubbable. And on the ground, the guy walks into a situation where you can see here death is possible. But I've always looked at him, and I see something that I always see, that I always apply when I'm in a deadly situation. There's an aspect of the brain you switch off. I don't know even what I'm saying, but you stop thinking so that the body can just move. I don't know that you understand, yes. And you don't allow the brain to do calculations. You switch it off in those difficult conditions, just move the body. And that's what every time I saw the guy on rooftop. And for me, I respect him very much. So when he gets on rooftop, I get out of a car. Because I'll be part of the army that's going to defend him, despite being a director. Directors are in the car, but me, I ran on the streets because we have to defend the Pope. Otherwise, the church will collapse. But what I saw in him is something I've always experienced, where you can die any time, but you must move from this point to this point. So there's an aspect of your brain which you switch off so that the body can move. Otherwise, it won't. So I think that most of these survivors, you survive, but you try and compartmentalize life. You lock out the past and live in the present, in the exclusion of the past. That's what makes you survive, even in torture chambers.
There are people who say, and I think I've tweeted about this, like, they say, they make it seem like being killed by the state is a favor. They say you have to be important enough for them to kill you. Is there any truth to that? Of course, you've said in the context of Kony, in fact, that qualifies that statement. Yeah. You have to be important enough for them to kill you. For someone who may not have, I may have covered the story of how Bishop Alexander Muge gets killed.
Yes.
But how was a preacher a threat?
Yeah.
What goes into this? It's like you have to qualify for death by the state.
Yes,
right?
you have to qualify. Yeah,
you have to qualify.
I remember when I was writing about Jirongo, I said Jirongo qualified for an assassin's eye. That's the title of my story. He qualified for the eye of an assassin. So hey, this guy, he's also worth my attention. Yeah. So I agree with you that there's a qualification, but I don't believe that. I don't believe in martyrdom, because when you die, you're no longer a soldier. I don't believe in being imprisoned as an act of heroism, because you have been removed from the struggle. The fellows who want to eulogize, in my opinion, are the Oliver Tambos, who stayed out, managed to escape and reign the struggle while Mandela was resting nowhere, suffering in Robben Island. Museveni has never been to any police cell. He liberated Uganda. So for me, the first task of a revolutionary or a person fighting for a serious human cause, you must avoid the grip of the state or the bullet of the state. That way, you're useful. But in the grave, Jirongo, where is he now? Who is talking about Jirongo and the passengers who are missing? They've all kept quiet. So I think that that's what I can say.
I don't know about, there's a lot of theories about the Jirongo story.
Yes.
And if there's something more about it, I believe it will unravel.
How?
In this world.
How?
Everything.
We're busy. We're busy making money. Those who are close to the story may have been sorted out. You know, when Jacob Juma was killed, he had a person he had worked with for many years. And he had a laptop and then an iPad, that kind of thing. You know what the guy did? They went and paid him a lot of money. They came, broke into the house, stole those laptops and iPads, and disappeared. You see? That iPad and that laptop may have had information that we required to further identify who the killer is. Of course, we all know who the killer is, but proving that the guy is actually the one who killed. You see? But the thing was stolen away. Reason? So in the same way, when Jirongo dies like he has now, what follows? Get a family, give them millions. Get those who are making noise, the leaders, all of them are from the Kanu background. People who worship money.
Isn't that
sort them out, then they all keep quiet.
Isn't that an admission of guilt?
Who?
If that happens, isn't that an admission of guilt?
But I'm saying they're killing the story and killing the investigations. We're pushing it under to points where we shall never know what actually happened.
When I prepare for, I don't know, we live in a crooked world. I've had conversations that as an individual.
We are led by crooked people. The world is open. We are led by crooked people. That's the problem. But me, I'm not crooked. Are you crooked?
To the best of my knowledge,
no, you're not.
I live by
morals.
So as we come to a close, what's the most important thing that you would summarize? Of course, I started this conversation by saying you are a walking library of Kenya's history. What is it that you would wish Kenyans to know? The ordinary Kenyan or the average Kenyan who is watching this conversation?
Hey, that's big. But the ordinary Kenyan, needs to understand that the problems, the tribulations, the many challenges they face in all spheres of their lives, be it education, lack of medicine, all these things have a cause. They have a history. They have people who advocate for them. And there is knowledge, theory, propaganda, information that is passed around to get them not to understand the root causes of their problems. But everything that has a cause can actually be dismantled. So all I ask people is continue trying to understand beyond what the system tells you. Now we know, if you listen to Ruto to explain your problems, you are mad. That's lied 10 years, lie, and still marching on. So you must choose those who should explain the world for you. And if you get the right people to explain the world for you, it is possible for us to uproot the cause of our problems, which problems begin from how we share the existing resources. Go to the gold mine, economy, gold, just because gold has appeared. Now all of a sudden, we're getting people from all over the world coming to partake of it. That's how we get poor. And that's how we get our systems not working. I'm just asking the Kenyan people that it is not impossible to solve our problems, but needs patience and commitment in fighting those who ask us to continue supporting them so that the evil can continue being perpetuated for them to gain.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And if you are to live your life again from scratch, knowing what you know now, you will still make the same choices.
I never made a choice. I think I just encountered conditions that made me think that it is good to be a good person and enjoy the feeling that you are a good person and people appreciate that. That's very important, spiritual food. You sleep better.
Okay.
These people who claim to be bigger than me don't sleep as well as I do. I sleep so well. My home in Bungoma has no gate. My small construction in Kilifi has no gate. And I sleep there. They can't sleep there. So in terms of quality of life, those of us who live morally clean lives sleep better, enjoy better, live with less worries, and have no bodyguards and have no dogs to feed. Only rats to eat rats, only cats to eat rats.
So I know I have to end this conversation with an apology. There are very many nuggets of information that we could have poked through and continued on, but I believe those would have led to different threads of conversation. But we hope that if your schedule allows, you will be happy to have a conversation. I've enjoyed the engagement sincerely. And as a representative of our audience, I thank you for your time sincerely. And I thank you for the sacrifices you've made and the contribution to the history of what this country has become to date. Sincerely, thank you. The areas zenye we could have poked and stretched the conversation to other areas that even from the beginning of the conversation, kuna mahali tungeenda, but we had to leave that and follow a certain thread. Mutatusamehea. Let us know into the comment section mahali munafeel tungeteremka nayo na tukasahau, and let's engage kutoka hapo. And if we ever again, tukipata nafasi tena, we are happy to have you on. Asante sana.
Thank you, sir.
Karibu sana.
I'm grateful.
All right.